And I truly believe that the best things in life, absolutely everything that's really good in life that I've achieved, is everything's been out of my comfort zone.
So the big question is this: how are investors like us who weren't born with a silver spoon successfully investing in property to create a passive income and still have a lifestyle now? That is the question this podcast will give you the answers. I'm George Markoski and welcome to the Positive Property Show. Our mission is to empower 10,000 people to create financial freedom through property using the Markoski method. Join us.
Okay, hello and welcome to the Positive Property Podcast. I've got an international guest here. I'm very excited to introduce Mitch Miller. Some of you may have heard of him. He was actually had a heart attack when he was 21. He was a failed rock star. He was homeless at one stage. He started 9 businesses and failed, but changed his mindset and became successful. And he's a copywriter and marketing strategist, well renowned around the world. He does events and he's got people all around the world that he works with. He's written 5 books. And hello, Mitch. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here. Appreciate you inviting me.
Now, what an amazing journey you've had. You know, I've seen this little diagram when you've got, a straight line, from the beginning to success. And then you've got this squiggly line, what it really looks like. And it looks like a squiggly line.
Felt like it too. It's pretty crazy, man. It was a long time to sort myself out, and I don't think many people need as long as it took me to kind of sort my stuff out. But I was coming from a place of knowing nothing. I knew nothing about business. I knew nothing about marketing. I knew nothing about even being a decent person. All I cared about was playing guitar, hitting on chicks, doing drugs, and just basically goofing off. And it was a long road to figure this business game out. It's like, because business, investing, marketing, it's not, those skills don't come natural to us. They're very counterintuitive.
Yep. So it sounds like you've done a lot of personal growth along this journey. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's number one, primarily number one. I mean, people will ask me, what's the fastest way for me to get to become successful in business? I'll say the fastest way is to work on yourself. Self-help, man. It's all up here.
Yep, I agree. I think in any area of your life, working inside makes the biggest changes. You want to change the outside world, you got to change the inside world first.
Yeah, true.
Totally. And you had a heart attack when you were 21. What tell me about that.
Yeah, that was interesting. So we were in a band, and we were getting on the radio, and there's quite a bit of success happening on the actual music side. It ended up all imploding and crumbling away, but there was, I lived for the night. I didn't care about the next day. I didn't care about anything. It was pretty selfish. It was not a good thing. Although I have crazy fun memories, I don't feel good in general about the way that I lived, and I gave my parents so much grief and things like this, and people who tried to look after me. But I just wanted to be that degenerate rock star, man. That was fun for me. And so one night it was a party. It was a house party, and I had just done too many drugs at the same time. I had the cocaine and ecstasy and the marijuana and beer and the cigarettes and you name it. And it was just way too much. It was just this crazy cocktail of doing so much that night. And I was also dancing and being silly. And I ended up bringing 2 girls into the bed at the same time. And so all of that mixed together, paired with not drinking water, just caused a heart attack.
Well, that was lucky someone found you or brought you to the hospital or something.
I brought myself to the hospital. Actually, I was complaining of my heart hurting, my chest hurting, and called the hospital helpline. I was like, my chest is hurting. I don't know what I should do. And the nurse says, what the hell are you talking to me for? Get your ass down to the hospital.
Wow.
So I had my friend drive me there, and then he drove me, and it felt like an elephant was stepping on my rib cage. It felt like the front of my rib cage and the back of them were, the bones were touching. And so I was rolling around in the car. And then when we got to the hospital, we couldn't find the emergency entrance. So we just kind of parked, and then we got out and we were just walking through the hospital together trying to find the emergency. So it was quite the situation.
Wow. It's almost like a TV, something on TV you'd see on TV. And then you went to hospital and you had the heart. Where did you actually have the heart attack? What location?
That was in Canada, in Edmonton, Canada.
No, as in at the party, in the car, in the hospital.
Oh, okay. So it was actually, the next night. So after that party, I woke, that whole next day, my chest hurt, and I chalked it up to smoking too much something, and it was just pain. And that's what I thought it was. And then the next night it just grew and it grew and it grew, and it just became so unbearable. And that was when it turned into a heart attack, so to speak. The rest of it was like a pre-heart attack. It was like they call it angina. It's a pain when the blood flow is low.
Yep. So, wow. So you went through a heart attack. Were you in hospital at the time?
Yeah. I was in the hospital for only 3 days.
So you had the heart attack at hospital, which would have probably been a safer place than at home.
Yeah. So I believe the heart attack happened from the moment that most people understand heart attacks is like this thing where it goes, oh, and then you pass out or something, but it's not really like that in most cases. Strokes are like that, but heart attacks in most cases are kind of some people have heart attacks and don't even know they had one.
Wow. That's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And so it was kind of a process that was happening over a period of time. And then it reached its crescendo, so to speak, when I was in the hospital. And I remember I heard them say, find out who his family is because he's not going to make it. And I was like, wow. Oh, goddamn. And I could barely even process that. I was in and out of consciousness. And when I came to, the doctor had said, man, you have no idea how lucky you are. We almost lost you. But then I got a bunch of tests done, and there was no permanent damage. They don't quite even know how it really happened. There was no blockage or anything. And so they sent me on my way 3 days later after watching me for a few days.
You were homeless at one stage, which would have been an interesting experience. Yeah.
Luckily it wasn't for too long.
Was that in Canada, USA, or where was that?
That was in Canada as well. That was 2008. So it's not even too long ago. And that was the last year that I decided that I wasn't gonna stand for it anymore, and that I was really gonna start to believe in myself and make my dreams come true. I was homeless for only about a week, and that was 100% self-inflicted. I could have reached out to my parents at any time and, tuck my tail between my legs and had them pick me up, drive down and pick me up, but I refused to. And I ended up, sleeping in the park, and I didn't have any money for food, but I had enough money to buy a bag of rice, but I didn't have a fucking place to cook it. So I would steal ketchup packets from McDonald's, and then I would have the spoons, classic spoons full of dry rice with ketchup on them as for dinner.
Wow, amazing. Crazy. So when did you decide, okay, forget this, I really want to become successful, or I want to change my life, or what happened? How did your identity change? Because I'd imagine it was a mindset shift, identity shift. Did you have to come out of your comfort zone? What happened?
The truth is there were multiple ones, and I wish it was one that changed everything, that make the story more irresistible maybe, but there was a bunch of different ones. It was me after the heart attack. I decided I wanted to become successful. I had no idea where to start or what to do. I found Tony Robbins, and that was a godsend, man, because he turned me on to a whole bunch of people, because he had this interview series, and man, he'd interview a whole bunch of cool people. He'd interview Wayne Dyer, interview Deepak Chopra. He'd interview all these people that I had no clue existed, open up a whole new world for me. But the problem is, when you kind of get into this world of self-help, you realize how fucked up you are. And you really realize that. And then you really realize that the gap between who you want to be and who you are, we delusionally think we're right there. We always believe we're millionaires tomorrow, right? But the truth is, the gap is so large. And when you realize that, you're like, oh, damn. And so there's been many mindset shifts and many periods throughout my life, and many moments where I said, this is it, no more. And then it was 3 months later, it was the same damn thing. And then you'd be even more fed up. And so it accumulates, and you realize that, you know, barring actual disabilities, some people have mental disabilities of, you know, on a scale from extreme to maybe a mild forgetfulness or just maybe a lower IQ. That's real. There's a certain percentage of the population that actually have an IQ of under 80, and they can't even, I think it's 10% of the population have an IQ of under 80, and you're not even allowed in the military with an IQ.
I heard that. I heard about that, because even in the military, under 80, you can't really be helpful anywhere at all.
That's right. That's right.
And I mean, unfortunately, I suppose that's part of the homeless reason as well, because a lot of people in that scale find it hard to navigate things. Like here in Australia, we've got Social Security, and there shouldn't be any homeless people at all. However, we still do have some homeless people because their IQ's not big enough for them to help themselves, which is a shame. And that's why we need to sort of not just throw money at people. We need to help people be able to be more self-sufficient. But that would be very challenging. You're right. Absolutely.
They do need help. And it's real. Like, you know, I mean, it's not everybody can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And I'm a firm believer of, no matter who you are, within reason. You know, if you have a disability, if you are part of that 10% who have a super low IQ, it's like, I'll give you some room. But like, if you're an average person, if you think you're not an above average person, if you're a regular person, you can hear these words, you're trying to become better, you're not a dumbass, you can hold a job, maybe you have a business or whatever. It's like, there's no fucking excuse for you now. You're all just playing games in your own heads. And I played games with my head for forever. And so my point is that over time, I would keep screwing up, and I realized I'm playing too small. I'm playing too small, or I'm doing it to myself here, doing it to myself there. And every time I would screw up, or I'd fail a business, or I would have a grand plan and then I either wouldn't do it or I would screw it up, it added to the fuel. Because for some people, they're like, oh man, it make them even more depressed and self-loathing. And then eventually they just do nothing and they give up and they just settle. For me, it added fuel to the fire. It got me even more mad, more determined, more wanting to figure it out. So I would get angry and I would scream at the top of my lungs instead of crying. It's like, no, I'm going to fucking make this happen. So there was no one moment where it happened, but it was refusing to give up. And then every bad thing that happened, I used it as like, it's almost like every bad thing that happened, it was like somebody whispering, you can't do it. And I'm like, oh, I'll fucking show you. And so I used that as fuel instead of, there's a perfect example, George. I was with my friend when we were like 20 years old, and I was like, we were at the mall, and I was like, oh man, I want to go to the high-end fashion store to see. And he's like, why? He's like, we don't have the money to go there. We can't buy anything there. I was like, exactly. Let's go look and get inspired. Well, you go in there and you look at all the expensive stuff there, and I'm like, wow, looking at the Hugo Boss suit at the time, Armani suit. I'm like, man, I would love to have that suit one day. And you see it. He would be depressed in there, and I'm getting juiced up.
Yep.
Same fucking store. What's the difference? It's like, it's how you choose to look at it. So
absolutely. And I think starting out, those sort of things can motivate people. I know when I first started out, I used to actually write little post-it notes and write, you're a winner, you're great at sales. And I used to have I did this old crappy car, and I had a picture of a Honda Prelude on my thing, and I really wanted the Hugo Boss suit too, funny enough. I wanted one, but they were too expensive. Like, they were $2,000 at the time. They're cheap now. And I was like,
you buy a car for that.
And I actually kept saying I want one. And the company I worked for had a sales competition. And I was new, but I won and got this Hugo Boss suit. And it was so cool. It was amazing. And it really
nice. And then it's your only one. And then that begins to feel weird, because you feel like the imposter with the one suit.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, once you get success, then you look back and materialistic things aren't really that important anyway. But when you're starting out, they're actually quite motivating. That's the interesting thing, because I remember when I first started, I'd look at, the Rolex, the nice cars, BMW, Porsche, and nice suits and all that nice stuff. And that really motivated the shit out of me. And since I've become successful, doesn't do anything for me at all. It's funny, just completely opposite. It's almost polarizing. It's weird how that's happened.
It's true. It's like they're like symbols to keep you going. But
Yes.
but when you get there, you realize it's about the character of the person you became, and those material things are cool little bonuses, but they're not a driving force.
Exactly. And I think people's identity is the important part when it comes to success, because what happens is people say to themselves, I am such and such person. And they say it to themselves over and over. They brainwash themselves. And it's almost like an excuse not to be successful. Like, for example, I'll use a different situation. I know this guy who's single, right? And he hasn't really gone out to meet any girls. And I've told him, I said, look, if you want to meet girls, you need to start and practice and fail over and over again if you want to get there. Because I've set him up with a few girls and he failed miserably. He goes, nah, I'm not really good at that stuff. And he uses that excuse and sort of doesn't want to actually prove that he's not good at it. So he makes
right. It wasn't fuel. It made him depressed.
So what he does, he makes excuses to maintain his identity and goes, oh, well, I can't because of this. I can't because of that. And makes all excuses. But really he can't because of his mindset. He doesn't believe that he can. And he doesn't want to prove that he can. And I think a lot of people, when it comes to investing, are the same. They'd love to be a property investor, but they say, well, I can't be a property investor. I work in a factory, you know what I mean? Or I've got a 9-to-5 job, or I didn't have rich parents or anything else like that. But let's face it, it's all bullshit excuses, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. All of it. It's all completely excuses. It doesn't matter how much time you don't have.
Yes, exactly. Or how much money you don't have, or if you've got rich parents or not. I mean, I didn't have rich parents. My family struggled to make ends meet. I grew up with a family of 4. My parents are migrants. I didn't actually even understand English when I went to primary school. And that actually was fuel for me, because I could tell from a young age that I was poorer than everyone else. And that really made me want to become successful. So for some people, it does push you. And I think maybe that's what it did, because a lot of people go, George, your parents must be really good at business. But no, they've got no idea of business. They came to this country and just worked really hard. But I sort of thought to myself, I don't want to be like that. I really want to become successful. It really pushed me to become that way because of that. So, but I think getting out of your comfort zone is very difficult for people. It's probably one of the hardest things in the world. And you've got to get something to pull you or push you there somehow. You know what I mean? Obviously, you were pushed there. You explained how all these setbacks were sort of fuel for you pushing out of your comfort zone, correct?
Yeah, like I learned early on in my studies from finding Tony Robbins, and then he pushed me to check out Richard Bandler, who started neurolinguistic programming with John Grinder. And one of the key concepts that Tony and Richard and these guys talked about was reframing. And that is the ability to take a situation and how you see it and flip it to mean something else. And when you flip it to mean something else, you're literally changing the focus, and that changes your mood, changes everything about you. So when, I would always, that's why everything was fuel, everything was motivated, because no matter what happened that was bad, I said, I've now learned something, and this is even more reason to not put up with it next time and to be more powerful. Now I'm more powerful than I was. And so it's always just turning focus. So let's say I wanted to start a business and then it failed on me. Like maybe people listening here maybe want to invest in a property and maybe they lose money on their first deal. It's always possible. And that's probably the number one fear that stops people from pulling the trigger for the first time. And we could talk about that in a second. But I feel like, I like to use contrast. And so if I fail a business, I'll reframe it and say, hey, now I know more than I did. And this next time I'll be able to do better. I'm not dead, right? Yep. Like it could be worse. And what I'll do is I'll contrast. I'll say it could be worse. Like I could not even have the idea to start a business, and I could be forever without even realizing it, stuck in a life of just being an employee and someone I don't even want to be. And it's almost the ignorance would not be bliss. It would be pure hell, and I would have no idea how to get out. So the fact that I'm even trying to start a business and the fact that I'm even trying to improve myself is super important. And you know what? And I'll contrast myself. I'll look for examples. I'll go online and see, I'll type in epic failures in business, and then you get to read like people who are super successful now, guys who started Hershey or Mattel or Toyota or Honda. The story of Honda is crazy.
That's a great story. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. Like he had his factory bombed, and then earthquake took it out twice. He had to start from scratch 3 times, and so
using, old shells of bombs and using materials to make motorbikes.
That's right. He did. And he used the scraps and used what he had. And so I look at these guys, I'm like, well, it could be worse, man. It's like, I had my stupid little business fail. It's like I barely lost any money. It's like this guy had his factory, bombed 3 times or something. And so I'll use that contrast with myself. Even if I'm trying to lose weight, I'm feeling a bit of hunger. I'll be like, I'm feeling a bit hungry. It's like, no, I'm not hungry. The kids in fucking Africa are hungry. I ain't hungry. I'm just being a little bitch. And I use the contrast on myself. And so that really helps. And it's really important, because even somebody who wants to start investing in property, but maybe they're afraid to, it's almost like they see the investment, the first investment, as like this big, huge thing. And it is objectively, but it's also, people are so ingrained to believe that their house or a property is their biggest investment they'll ever make in their life, which is true on if you were that average person for which you would buy one house and then die in it and give it to your kids. But as property investors, we need to eradicate that unconscious thinking, because the truth is that it's not a big purchase. It's not the biggest purchase we're ever going to make. It's one of many. It's nothing. It's just something that we got to do. It's like not a big deal.
Absolutely. I totally agree. The thing is, there's 2 ways of learning when it comes to investing in business, everything else like that. One thing, you can be a pioneer, and you can always tell the pioneers, they're the ones with the arrows in their back, lying face down in the dirt. And that's a good way. I mean, when I started in business, I was a pioneer. And when I started investing too, I made all the mistakes, and every mistake's a new way of going forward. Or you can actually, you know what Tony Robbins says, find someone successful and model what they did and miss out all the bullshit stuff. And that way you'll get success much quicker. And that's a lot safer way of doing a lot of things, including business and anything you can think of. We're very fortunate at the moment because of the internet, and we can actually connect with people that are really good at top of their game at any niche you can think of. And you can actually model what they do and save yourself. Like, for example, let's say someone wanted to do copywriting and marketing, right? Now, to learn copywriting, there's millions of courses out there, and there's lots you can do, and just learn from scratch. You could do copywriting for the next 20 years. You're not going to be great. You really need to find someone really good like yourself and follow your rules, because you've learnt these rules over years and you've had success. Like, it's not easy. I've seen some of your copywriting. It's amazing. It's really good. You've got a great talent at it.
Thank you.
And I don't think someone could actually learn that on their own. They need to learn from someone. Like, you probably learned from someone as well. You didn't learn this on your own.
No, I didn't learn on my own. And the learning curve is too steep to try to piece it together yourself. And that's why people who are considering working with you, they're smart, because not only have you figured it out so you could help them avoid all these pitfalls and cut the learning curve back as much as humanly as possible, but then also you've created systems for doing so. And so there's a double whammy of value, because it's like, you have the system that they can trust in, but then you have you can trust in. And so the only piece left, if they're not pulling the trigger, you know what I mean? It's like, if they trust in the system, they trust in you. It's like, do they trust in themselves?
That's the big question. Exactly. And that's all about identity, isn't it? Because belief and identity are sort of mixed together, aren't they?
It's belief in its identity. It's a trust that, like, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't know what I'm doing, and maybe this may not. Maybe I may not have it all figured out, and the first deal is not going to be super smooth. But you know what? I trust myself enough to figure it out, that I'll find a way. And so there's a trust that you have to do. Is like, you may not, like, a faith in yourself, and it's hard to teach that, obviously. But one secret that I've found is that faith in yourself, or that trust in yourself, or that confidence in yourself, is not it's you can get it anytime you want. Because like the idea of confidence, I was like, okay, what the hell is it? And so I feel like if we don't define it, we can't know, and you can't get more of it if we can't define it. So
how do you define it? I'm very curious here.
Yeah. So the way I would define it, and who knows if I'm right, but it is useful and it works. So whether it's the way or not, it is a way that works. It's a feeling, it's a state, it's a mood.
Yep.
And you can trigger it with music. But my point is that you can trigger it on command through different ways. And so just as well as I do, George, I know you work out a lot. If you are working out and you start thinking about some maybe something in your personal life's not good, or something in business is not right, and you start thinking about that stuff too much when you're working out, you lose all your energy to do reps and shit.
Oh, look, that sometimes working out can help you get rid of that negative energy. But yeah,
can.
You know what I mean?
But if you don't catch it, you could feel it like yourself almost wanting to end the workout.
Yeah, I think working out with a positive attitude and energy makes a big difference. Totally. I agree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so it depends on what you focus on. It depends on how much energy you have. And so I believe confidence is a feeling, and you can have it, and you can bring it on to yourself, and it's a feeling and a mood that you can put yourself in. And that's really empowering to know, especially. So the more you can condition yourself to feel that, knowing that it's a feeling, and knowing that all feelings can be controlled, so to speak, within reason. If someone close to you dies, you don't need to control your feelings. You're allowed to fucking feel any way you want, right? It's like, but my point is, you should, if you're going to start a business, if you're going to make a big investment, if you're going to learn to do something and take on a skill that you don't know, that you've never done before, you better learn how to control your emotions, and you are 100% in control of them. And and confidence is an emotion, and it's not your identity, right? It's like the point you were trying to make earlier, George, which I think is brilliant, is like, people put this stuff under identity. I am not a confident person. It's like bullshit. You're just not being confident. Some people say I'm fat. No, you're not. Nobody is ever fat. You're being fat. You're engaging in fat behaviors. And when you think of it like this, if you're like, I'm shy. No, you're not. You're just acting shy. And if they can understand that, that creates a gap between their identity and the behavior. And that's what allows them to make those big changes for real.
Yeah, totally. I mean, recently I've been asked to go on a few national TV programs and get interviewed about property. And the first time I had a few butterflies. I thought to myself, this is going to be a little bit scary. It's live TV, you got no practice, no nothing. But like most things, when you have fear of something, it's false expectations appearing real. The worst case scenario in your brain almost never happens. And I find that every time I play bigger or do something out of my comfort zone, whenever I look back, I think to myself, why the hell was I even thinking that? Why? Like, it's a lot easier, 100 times easier than I thought it was. Like even going on national television, easy as anything. You sit there and talk. I mean, it's nothing. But before you pick yourself up, or even when I was single and when I wanted to approach girls, at first I had a bit of fear, but I broke through that fear and just approached girls and talked to them, because what's the worst thing they can do? You have a nice conversation. I mean, no one's going to punch you in the face or anything, It's crazy how fear holds.
Yeah, like that type of stuff doesn't happen. Fear. And it's the reframing you're talking about. It's like if when you feel like you said, butterflies when going on the show, that's a great way to frame it. Even it's way better than saying I was scared or I'm nervous. The butterflies it's a way of softening up the language so it's not as extreme. And it's like going on a roller coaster. You can say I'm nervous. You can say I'm scared to go on this roller coaster, or I'm excited. The fucking emotion is the same. And so it's the same with you going on TV, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
It's your choice.
Yep. Butterflies is a good word. Yeah. So languaging is so important, because especially like you were saying before, if you're on a diet, you don't want to say, shit, I'm starving. You want to say, maybe I'm slightly picky. You know what I mean? Which works better. Because I do restricted eating at the moment. So I've trained.
Me too.
So I eat probably about 3 hours a day. That's it. And
okay, I have a 1 hour window. I'm on a 23 and 1.
See,
it ain't much different than 3 hours, bro. There ain't much difference there.
Pretty close. I do 3 hours so I can fit in dessert, because my stomach shrunk so much that I can't eat dessert and a meal at the same time. So that's the only reason. But the 1 hour window, I respect you for that. It's awesome. And the funny thing is, once you get used to it, it's not that hard, is it?
No, it's super normal. At first, the first week was like deadly, but now it's not even a thing I think about too much. I do get hungry at that point, but it's not that big of a deal. And I used to say I'm hungry, but now I say, if I feel the feeling of hunger, I say, "Ooh, I'm losing fat."
Yes, that's fantastic.
Focus.
So when I first started intermittent fasting, I first started just doing 1 day a week where I didn't eat for 24 hours. And that was so challenging. And now, just about every day, I've got the 3 hour, anywhere between 1 hour to 4 hours. And when I'm on holidays, like I was in Sydney recently, I had lunch and dinner and I extended the time. But I usually do, the 3 hour window. And I think it saves you so much time and energy, doesn't it? You don't have to worry about food and anything like that. I mean, I still have coffee and tea. I don't know about you on your 23 hours.
Absolutely. I have coffee, black coffee and water.
Yeah, which is great. And the 23 hours, one of the good things about that is the 1 hour window is you really reduce your mTOR. And mTOR is one of the keys to longevity, reducing it. And the only thing that's proven to increase longevity is fasting.
I didn't know that about the mTOR.
Yeah.
The reason I did the 23, honestly, is simply because I wanted to limit my damage to an hour so I could stay in a deficit and still eat whatever I want. Now I get more healthy about it, but at first it was a real concern because of my addiction to food.
Yeah. I love food too, and that's why I've got a restricted eating. But you know what? You enjoy it more when you only have 1 hour or 2 hours to eat it.
That's exactly it. The meal is so damn good.
And when you're eating, you are causing a lot of damage because eating is good for you. And this is a whole other topic, but the reason eating's bad for you is because it's good for you. But we'll talk about this another time because I can go on this for.
Right.
I've been researching food longevity and all that sort of stuff for a long time, and I've got a new theory, which is pretty amazing. And basically, it goes, whatever's good for you is bad for you because it's good for you, and whatever's bad for you is good for you because it's bad for you, within reason. And I'm going to explain it on another podcast. I think fear holds people back. I think it's the biggest thing because people going out of their comfort zone find it very, very difficult. And I truly believe that the best things in life, absolutely everything that's really good in life that I've achieved, is everything's been out of my comfort zone. There's nothing good that's happened inside my comfort zone. But now it's inside my comfort zone because my comfort zone keeps growing. And every time I hit a barrier to my comfort zone, I'm finding I've got another area that I need to go up in. And I find when you get out of your comfort zone, only good things happen in your life because you can't get more than what you've got unless you become more than what you are. That's what Jim Rohn says. And I agree with him. You know what I mean? It's all about self-development. And part of that is going out of that comfort zone. And how do you help people do that? Because people are stuck. And the problem with fear is people that watch TV, because I don't watch TV. Funny enough, the programs I've been interviewed on, I've never seen before. I've only been on the other side. So right. Like, oh, wow, Today's Show. I've never seen it. What is it? Who's on there? They go, what? You don't know Carl and Georgie? I go,
that's funny.
Really? I do now, but no. I guess there's content creators and
well, that's almost better because,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
it's almost better because you get less nervous. You're not built up.
Exactly. So, and I think people that watch a lot of news and TV have got more fear than the average person. And that's the average person who's got a lot of fear these days. How do we get people out of that? How do we get out of fear? How do we get, what's the first little step to get out of your comfort zone and become a better person or, get more out of your life?
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways and they kind of work together and you kind of chip away at all of them. So the fear thing is interesting because a lot of times we don't realize what's actually causing the fear. So it's okay to be fearful. Like it's okay to have the fear. It's like that's natural. Like what we don't want to do is eradicate the fear, and you don't want to try and get rid of it before it comes up because that's just not going to happen. Because an analogy would be like trying to remove fear before you take action is like trying to remove the water before you swim. It's like there's no point. It's just part of it. But but the way that I think about it is a lot of people don't realize that what drives the fear, what keeps it going. Like, for example, there is usually a tone of voice, or there's in your head, or there's certain words you're saying that keeps you getting freaked out. There's pictures in your mind. There's different movies, and there's a process going on that you're physically, maybe your breathing is becoming more shallow. Maybe you're crunching up into like a fetal position, like even just your shoulders, and you're getting scared, and you're thinking about having to do something. Maybe you're thinking about having to put an offer on a fucking home, and you're like, all of a sudden you just get scared. Well, there's certain things that are happening, and you want to do is, at the moment you get scared, that's when you want to be like, okay, what is you want to kind of analyze yourself. When in that moment you're getting scared, you're like, okay, you're thinking putting an offer on a home. It's like, okay, shit, I just got scared. It's like, well, hold on, let me think about this for a sec. What happened when I get scared? Oh, I'm breathing shallow. Oh shit, my shoulders went in like this. Oh, I'm talking to myself in this tone of voice. So how about if I just relax? How about if I breathe deeper? How about if I change the tone of voice to a more calm, chill tone of voice? Oh, and you can literally reverse the fear by analyzing the different pieces of it.
All right, and then change the submodalities. I've chucked a bit of NLP language.
Correct.
Unfortunately,
yeah, you got it.
You may not understand that, but like if you've got a dark picture, brighten it up, and that will reduce the fear. Because a fearful picture is usually dark and small and grainy, black and white.
Yeah. There's all sorts of things you see in your head when you get fearful about, thinking, shit, I got to put an offer on this house. All of a sudden, you have your mom's voice nagging in the back of your head. You're never going to amount to nothing. It's like you take a second to analyze and see it, what's there, and if she is there, then just make sure you make her face black and white, and you shrink it and throw it out of your head. People think this stuff's kind of weird, but it's not weird. It's like we think to ourselves in pictures, movies, tones of voice. And that's how we think. We talk to ourselves.
Yep. Now, I actually got one really good way of getting rid of fear that I would like to share. And a lot of times your physiology can change your state. And I used to do a lot of public speaking. I still do. And when I first started public speaking in front of big audiences, I'd be behind the curtain going, oh shit, I've got a big audience. What am I going to do? And I'd sort of have a power anchor, and I'd get up and I'd act confident and march and look up and breathe deep, and I'd find that change my body language, and changing my body language changed my state and get rid of the fear and turn the fear into excitement almost. Like it changes. Because it's hard to be negative when you're standing up and you're walking and you're looking upwards and you're smiling. If you try smiling and looking up and having fear, it's going to be difficult. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's almost impossible to. It's the same, like you said, the same with it's like with the posture and stuff. If you have a confident posture and you hold that, it's almost impossible to stay unconfident. It's like it's our body, our physiology, and our emotions are absolutely fucking connected.
I mean, how did you get out of your comfort zone? What did you do?
That's a very, very tough one, because on one hand, it's like you can trick yourself with the reframing we talked about earlier, or contrasting. You can contrast yourself and say, like one way I do it is like, if I don't do this now, then what makes me think I'm going to do it next time? And if I don't do it next time, it's going to be a habit. Maybe it already is. And if it is, then all the dreams that I have and all the person I dream of being, it's almost guaranteed to never happen. And if that doesn't happen, then it's barely going to be worth living. It's like, and I paint that picture of all that's going to happen just because the truth is, if you want to get out of your comfort zone, it's really what we're talking about is creating a new habit. So if you don't work out and you want to work out now, it's like working out today for the first time in a while or whatever is like, you need to get out of your comfort zone to do that, because you don't want to. Your comfort zone is, chilling with your coffee or sitting in bed or whatever.
Couch is comfort zone. Exactly. Totally.
Yeah. And you don't want to do it. And it's like, let's say you've decided to work out 4 days a week, and that's, you've decided. And now you did 4 days, and now you took your 3 days off, and now it's you did the fifth day now, and now comes time for your second day of your second week out of the 4. And it's like, and then you're like, oh, I don't want to. I don't want to. It's not comfortable now. It's like, I've already done a week. I'm starting to feel run down. Like, I don't want to do it. It's like that comfort zone. It's like, because this is the way I think about comfort zone. Whatever excuse that you used not to do something you said you were going to do, whatever set of bullshit excuses that was good enough for you on that day, if you allow that to happen, then you will find every other time. And that is just way too risky. And the habit will never be able to, so you got to be careful with the excuse. So like, anyway, so my point is that the contrasting and the reframing is one way, but as far as comfort zone goes, like, you gotta, this is the part I don't know if you can teach, like, the hunger. It's like, that's why immigrants, man, they come in and they kick everyone's ass. It's like, cause there's like a meta level comfort zone going on where it's like, they come, you know what I mean?
Also, for them to make it to your country, they had to really, that's not easy to do. So you're right. That's why they kick ass. You're right. Absolutely. The thing is,
it's like they're out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, I suppose the way I see it is you've got 2 lives. And the second life you start living when you realize you only got one. And when I to get out of my comfort zone, I realized that we're all mortal and one day we're all going to be dead. And a lot of things in 10 years' time, you look back, it's no big deal. Who cares? And just do it anyway. Because you normally regret the things you don't do, not the things you do.
Oh, interesting.
Damn,
that's well put.
You look at
it's just putting that focus regularly. Oh, sorry, your voice is cutting out.
No, go. Because I mean, you look at people in a deathbed, and they don't say, "Oh, I wish I stayed in my comfort zone more often. I wish I worked more hours." They all say, "I got out of my comfort zone. I wish I was really who I wanted to be." You know what I mean? So it's interesting when you talk to people on a deathbed. No one wanted to stay in their comfort zone more when they're dying. They wish they got out of it. And that's most people's wish, actually, because a lot of people got conditioned because of family or society to act a certain way. And on their deathbed, they wish they didn't do that their whole life.
You said the very important word there is conditioned. And that's very important for people to understand. If you want to get out of your comfort zone, you've built a habit of you've conditioned yourself to be in your comfort zone. So there is no quick fix out. I mean, it's quicker than you think, and it's probably quicker than you deserve, but you have to condition yourself out of it. And part of it is by constantly interviews like this, listening to what George said, like finding articles where the old people talk about their regrets. Like, you got to condition this stuff in by putting it around you constantly, even when it feels futile to do so. You just keep brainwashing yourself with the right stuff, so to speak.
Exactly. So when you said about working out, I work out 3 times a week. And what I do, even if I don't feel like it, what I'll do is, I'm lucky, I've got a gym at home because I can't be bothered driving to a gym. So I've got one in my shed. So what I do is I put my workout gear, go to my gym and put some music on, even if I don't plan on working out, because I've scheduled that time. While I'm there, I'll lift a few weights, and before you know it, I've had a full-on workout because you might as well just do it. It's funny how it always happens anyway. But if I didn't actually walk in there and get ready for it, it wouldn't have happened. It's crazy. And I think I know one guy who's a triathlete, and he was saying what you got to do is you got to condition yourself, whether it's raining or not, you're going to go run because it's going to rain. Then you're going to use it as an excuse. And what he does is says, I like to run in rain, and when it rains, I'm going to do it, because a lot of people don't run when it rains, and that stuffs up a lot of their training.
Excuses are super dangerous. Use them sparingly, because they can become the norm so damn fast. Because once you give your brain a little bit of excuse to run with or to rationalize with, you'll use it every time. And scary shit, man.
Excuses are crazy, aren't they? That people use so many excuses in their life about a lot of things.
And the better you are at sales, And the better you are at marketing and persuasion, the better you are at screwing yourself over and convincing yourself with super crazy rationalizations, excuses. So it actually works against you the better you get.
Yep. I need to get a big poster on my wall. No excuses. That's what I do. I should. I remember I had this thing, fortune favors the bold. I had that up on my desk for a while just to get me to just do things out of my comfort zone. And, because, I mean, for me, so what happened was, I'll tell you quickly about my story. When I first started investing, I made a lot of mistakes, but then I learned how to invest really well. And I had 10 properties that were making me about $180,000 a year without getting out of bed. And I had 2 businesses that I was running, and I was working 7 days a week in these businesses and long hours because I had so much staff. I had to keep an eye on them and I had to keep producing. And I didn't even realize, because I was just conditioned to work hard and have businesses, I didn't realize that my properties were actually paying for my business. And I was working and stressing for nothing. And then I had this manager, Then I had this manager who stole some cookware off me. And I got really angry, sacked him in front of everyone. And then I thought, forget this. The marketing company, I go, Belinda, it's yours. You take it. The cookware company, I've finished. It's gone. See you later, everyone. I quit work, went home, and I was 80 hours a week richer and $180,000 a year richer for doing nothing. Changed my whole life.
Wow.
But getting that mindset, and see, the funny thing is, this guy that stole cookware off me, he did me a massive favor. At the time, I didn't realize. But I should go shake his hand and say, thank you for stealing from me, because if it wasn't for him, I could have gone on for another 6 or 12 months, killing myself for nothing. Right? How crazy is that? Because I was just working. I had that habit. I never stopped and thought. And after stopping and thinking, that made me think. It was like, wow, what a change. And then the funny thing is, I thought that having, living on the beach, making money without getting out of bed was the ultimate. I really thought that was it. I had a convertible Porsche, I had a house on the beach, lots of money coming in. I could do whatever I wanted to do, anything I wanted to do, spend money, travel, the whole lot. I actually got bored and lonely. Because what would happen is I'd ring my friends up. They're all at work. I didn't have any purpose. Each day I was waking up later. And it wasn't until I was having a dinner with Tim Ferriss. You've probably heard of Tim Ferriss.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had dinner with him before he was really famous in Melbourne. And I sort of sat down and we were talking about the 4-hour work week. And funny enough, Tim Ferriss, when you first meet him, because he's quite big, as in a lot of people know him, not big as in size, but he's actually quite shy when you first meet him and quite timid. Okay. And then we had a few glasses of wine, and then he opened up. And when he has a few glasses of wine, he's really, he's got so much to talk about. He's so fascinating. He's great. He's amazing. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, I've been doing the 4-hour work week less than that. I don't do any work at all. And he said, George, you got it all wrong. He said, you got it all wrong. He goes, you actually need a passion in life that gets you up early and keeps you up late at night. It's not about working 4 hours. The 4-hour work week's all about you do 4 hours of what you don't want to do, like paperwork and crap. But you need to fill your days with a passion project. And he said, look, if you love it, the world needs it, you get paid for it, and you're great at it, that's your passion. And pretty soon, that's why I became a real estate coach, because I love it. It's great. And I actually have more fun helping people invest now in my business than actually sitting on the beach doing nothing. And people, it would sound crazy, but until you've done it, you don't know. Be like how Jim Carrey's telling everyone, look, being rich is not what it's meant to be, Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I would do what I do for free, but I'm too smart not to get paid a shitload of money for it. Exactly. But I would. I would anyway.
Yeah, so tell me a bit about what you do. Because, you're a copywriter and you're a marketing strategist. And I've seen some of your copy, amazing. And I've got a copy of one of your books. I didn't realize you had 5 books. I'm going to have to buy the rest of them because I love your writing. Your writing's amazing. It's great. I really enjoy it. It's very punchy. You're not politically correct, put it that way.
No.
I love it. You're not scared to tell it the way you feel it is and tell it the way it is, which is great. I love that.
I think that's super important, and that actually brings me to a really important secret about confidence. Is there's a couple hidden causes of low confidence and even low energy, which can lead to low confidence by default. And so one of them is like seeking, telling, and acting the truth as you see it is ultimate confidence, because you can get your confidence from the truth. And the only reason we tell lies is fear, and then it becomes unconscious and stuff like that. And so really a lot of fear comes from not living the truth, or not knowing the truth, or not finding the truth. And that's super important. So I speak my truth and it comes off as confidence, but a lot of times it's not confidence. It's just like, I'm speaking the truth as I actually researched it and know it, and I'm willing to die for it. And it's like, it's more than confidence. It's like, it's just the truth as I see it. And there's power in that. And
there's a lot of power in being authentic, isn't there?
Yeah. And like searching for that and finding it. And there's a couple other hidden causes of low confidence, like, of low energy even, which is like, there's called persona fatigue. So you're always trying to put on a show or trying to not be yourself.
Yes.
That
would be
that
so
causes.
hard. Yes.
Yeah. It's tiring, man.
I know people like that. And look, I know this girl, and it's crazy. So around certain friends that she thinks are classy, she doesn't swear or smoke and acts all classy. And then around other people, she swears and acts like an idiot. And I said, why the hell would you have these two personalities? Like, that is so hard. I mean, why don't you just be the best version of yourself everywhere and not worry about what people think? Because me personally, I mean, and that's one thing. When I was going on national television, a lot of people rang me and go, "Oh, George, are you nervous and everything? What if they throw a curveball?" And the thing is, when you're authentic and you really know yourself, you can answer any question. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, because you're just you.
All I got to do is go back to the basics and answer anything. It doesn't matter what they say to me. It's really easy because I know it all. It's the truth. And it's not a lot of work. What's hard is if you're making up some bullshit, and remembering all that crap is but being honest and authentic is the easiest. It's the hardest and easiest at the same time. Choosing to be authentic can be hard for people, but once you become authentic, it's the easiest way to live your life. And it's the only way. I could not imagine living a life of not being authentic. A lot of people, they do a lot of things in public just to show how good they are or whatever, and just do a bit of virtue signaling and all stuff like that. And it makes me cringe when people change their personality in front of different people or try
it's
to.
Hell on earth. It's hell on earth to live.
It would be very hard for them. It would really suck. And why would you be fake? Like, that's just crazy.
It's hell on earth. And that's part of what I help people with. I used to have a bunch of training courses to help people with everything from confidence to copywriting to marketing to advertising to writing creatively. And we pulled all those off the market. We give some of them away for free now. I don't believe in selling information anymore. And so, like you said, like my 4-hour work week, I don't like cleaning my house. I don't like, I don't like booking my own appointments. I have housekeepers, I have personal assistants, and I have business managers to help with all that type of stuff. So I get to do what I do best. And I hold events, I hold workshops, I even hold private masterminds with a few people. And I like to go deep on marketing strategy, help people change the way they look at their business, help us implement marketing campaigns and stuff like that. That's the stuff I get juiced out of, and that's the stuff I enjoy, and that's what I'm best at. And because that's what I'm best at, I get to remain more confident more of the day, which conditions me to be more confident. And it's just it just feeds on itself.
Are you ever going to come to Australia and do a big an event here? No,
I would love to. I think I need help doing that. I know that I do have an audience in Australia, and I know that Australians are hungry to build businesses, to invest, to change, to like, they're hungry, man. Super hungry. People from America, or like I'm from Canada, but people in the West, they sleep on Australia, not realizing that you guys are super motivated.
Yeah, the Australian market is super motivated. Here in Adelaide, we might be a small town, but we've got a big startup culture, which is massive. And
I would love to do something. I'd love to do an Australian tour where I come in and I do some sort of event in Sydney, do an event in Melbourne, do an event in fucking Adelaide. I don't know how close, and I would love to go to the Gold Coast because I heard I have to go there. So I don't know how close.
You have to go to the Gold Coast. It's pretty cool. That's our Bris Vegas up there.
Right. Vegas meets Miami or something.
Yeah, absolutely. The weather there is amazing, and it's a lot of fun. It's great. I go there quite often. I really enjoy it. I love all of Australia. Australia is a beautiful place. A friend of mine just came back from Canada, and he was saying that Canadians are so similar to Australians, because I was asking him a bit about it,
Very similar.
Yeah,
I would say so.
He loves Canada,
Yeah. So I would love to come down to Australia. I would just need a little bit of help from maybe people in each city to be able to help put something together or something, but I would love to.
Well, after this, we'll have a conversation about it, because I think maybe part of the startup culture or something like that could be a good avenue for you here, because there's a lot of big groups here, and those sort of people are hungry for this sort of information. They need something really good.
Right. And in an entertaining way that's not politically correct. Because if there's anything I know about Australians,
they
don't prefer to be politically correct.
Are they going to ban you? Because who you had here, there was big protests. They had Milo Yiannopoulos coming to Australia.
Oh yeah.
The guy that owns Penthouse, he actually brought Milo Yiannopoulos here. And he loves the controversy. And I went to the opening party at Penthouse, and they brought Gabby Greco. I don't know if you heard of Gabby Greco. She was like 20 something, and she married this guy, Edelston, this multimillionaire who's about 90 years old, and they were a real out there couple. It was hilarious. But so when Milo Yiannopoulos came here, there was massive outrage. A lot of people wanted to ban him from being here. It's funny because I think he's married to a black guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a gay guy married to a black guy, but he's on the right, and people can't handle that. They call him a racist homophobe. Like, you can't call him a racist homophobe. He's into black dudes and he's gay. Are you crazy?
Exactly. I mean, how crazy? Exactly. But I think, Mitch, you need to do a tour. It's going to be fun.
I would love to. There's two places that I've been sleeping on that I need to visit in 2019. One of them was Australia, and the other one is Europe. I haven't been to Europe either, and okay. I know there's pent-up demand for both of them, so.
Awesome. Excellent.
We'll make it happen.
Definitely. I think we should. I think it'll be fun. It'll be excellent. We're talking about fear, comfort zone, identity. That's what I try to get us back on track. Yes. So how does someone believe they can be a property investor? What do they need to do?
We could give so many little bullshit answers, but the true answer is you become the 5 people you fucking hang out with, whether it's 5, whether it's 3, whether it's 1, whether it's a jillion, who fucking knows? But the truth of the advice holds. Environment, change your damn environment. If you don't know anybody who's a property investor in real life, if you're in a place where there's no clubs and you're not this and that, and all you're doing is hanging out in your groups, and they're trying to learn, but there's no real life support or a world in which there are people who think like you, the odds of you succeeding are extremely low. You need to get around people who have, and even if it's not property, even if there's other investors or other entrepreneurs, you need to get around people in your environment who have the same worldview. The worldview of making a lot of money is okay, for fuck's sakes. The worldview of taking risks is good. Investing is awesome. It's like you need to get your environment so much matters, and so if you change your environment and put it around the worldview of people who think like this, then. And go to events and put yourself in, then that's the cheat code, man.
That's great. And Mitch, that's part of the reason I created the free group on Facebook called the Positive Property Club. And what I found is a lot of people that have joined now have become investors, which is great.
Yeah.
And I give people a lot of free resources. That they've got a community of like-minded people. It's amazing that we started this about 3 months ago, and we've nearly got 5,000 members already Australia-wide. It's just
wow.
It's just grown so fast. The word.
It's the support. It's the support and the environment.
Yes, exactly. Because finally they can get people around them saying, yes, get another property, do well, get in there and do it. It's great.
This is real.
Exactly. Nothing wrong with being successful. It's actually good. because you can't do a lot of good to people if you're not successful. See, the way I see it is, if you get more money, because money alone doesn't really help people, because if you got money and haven't got time, it's a waste of time. Because when I was working long hours, I had money, but I didn't have time. So, but when you get more money and more time, that's how you create more meaning in your life. And I think that's the important part. A lot of people get it wrong. They think more money equals less meaning, but nothing could be further from the truth.
True.
So what happened was I was working 80 hours a week and working long hours. And then I suddenly had enough and I quit. And then I had the 180,000 coming in. And one of the first things I did is I paid off my parents' home, because they've been struggling for 25 years paying off the house. And I had enough money just paid off just like that, which is great. And then I took my parents overseas for a holiday, spent some good time with them. And unfortunately, my mum passed away a few years ago. And the time that I had with her overseas and back in the home country where she couldn't have gone on her own, and we spent quality time together. You can't replace that. And if I was working those 80-hour weeks, I wouldn't have that meaning. I would have only had that superficial contact with her that I had in the past. So I think money and time gives more meaning, and it gave me a chance to raise money for charity and do a lot of cool stuff. And I did a documentary for Channel 9 and raised $225,000 for charity for kids, children with special needs. And we got to hang out with some rock stars and sports people as well. We had the lead singer of Screaming Jets at a little, on Kangaroo Island playing for us on guitar. With just 5 of us there. It was amazing. And you don't get that unless you create more meaning in your life with more money and time. And that's why getting out of comfort zone is so worthwhile.
Damn. And having those reasons that are bigger than just yourself and wanting to pay bills, those selfless reasons can give you that extra nudge to go out your comfort zone, because you've expanded your goals. Like you said, that's super, super important. We had some goals here with our business that we that for different charity work and that we're doing for the earthquake victims and stuff. And like that stuff motivates you to push yourself further, because you're for example, on a very practical level, for example, my father was smoking ever since he was a teenager for goddamn fucking 40, 50 years. And the motivation to stop, stopping smoking after you're smoking for 50 years, talk about getting out of your comfort zone, wow, man. And it's an addiction, right? So, and a lot of people deal with this, but
how do you do it?
Well, the thing is, he couldn't do it because if he just said, I wanted to do it because I wanted to be healthy or this or that, it wasn't a selfish reason. He had to have a reason that was for more than him. And that reason was that he wanted to see my sister's son, his nephew, grow up.
Wow. What a great reason. Fantastic.
And that's why he quit. And so in the same way, when you want to get out of your comfort zone in investing property, for example, try to think of reasons that go beyond you, and you'll find that you're able to push past your comfort zone more than just a selfish goal.
That's fantastic. Don't do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for your kids. Do it for your parents. Do it for your community. Do it for all those other great reasons. Because I really believe, 90% of people, wealthy millionaires in the world, became so through property. So I really think that the family,
True,
the holiday you want, the lifestyle you want, the health you want, all of that, one good property can make a massive difference to people's lives. It's huge.
Dude, there's a saying, can't remember where the hell I heard this, but it was like, if you work for yourself, you'll make 30 grand a year. If you work for your neighborhood, you'll make 60. If you work for your city, you'll make a couple $100,000 a year. If you work for your state, you'll make $1 million a year. If you work for your country, you'll make $1 billion or something. There's a
totally
lesson.
You want to make $1 billion, help 1 billion people. You know what I mean? Like Elon Musk. He's been in the news a lot lately.
That's right. Love that guy.
He's awesome. But he's got a bit of a trigger finger when it comes to tweeting, a bit like Donald Trump, doesn't he?
Yeah, I wonder if it's the Ambien. You should go to sleep as soon as you take it.
Yeah, exactly. Like some of the stuff that he's come up with is crazy. I think one of his companies, he's not allowed to be on the board anymore, is he?
No, he had to step down as chairman of the board.
Yep.
So I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm not an idiot, but I don't quite exactly know what that means as far as, is he still the primary shareholder? You know, because I don't know how that works, the voting powers.
I love Elon Musk. I think he's great. But a lot of his tweets make the price of his shares go up and down. And as a shareholder, you'd be hoping, like, please, Elon, do something really cool tonight, not bad. But I mean, if you're really good at trading stocks, all you got to do is wait for Elon Musk to do a shit tweet. It bounces down. You buy the stock because it'll bounce back up anyway. It doesn't really last.
Right. It's not. Yeah. Exactly. It's not going down to zero.
So part of the reason they made him step down is they said that he was making the company too volatile for the shareholders. But really,
right, he's manipulating the market, so to speak.
It was bouncing up and down anyway. Big deal. It was like,
maybe he's doing. Maybe he needed an extra 10 million or something, or one of his friends did. So he's like, "Hey, dude, watch this." Buy.
Look, you know what? Who knows? Maybe that's what he's doing. He's like, okay, I'm going to do a stupid tweet. I'm going to call this cave diver a pedo, and then.
That's just
go down, I'll buy some more stock and let it bounce up again.
He's not stupid. I have no idea what he's maybe he's eight levels. Maybe he's playing chess with all of us. We have no clue. But to that one made no sense to me. What the hell are you picking on this guy for?
Totally. But you're right about one thing. He's not stupid. He's very smart.
Yeah.
And he's probably thinking the next level. And I was thinking about just before when you were talking about do it for someone else and, you know, giving people meaning in their life and helping. A bit like Maslow's needs. When you fill those needs, the bottom needs, you actually get a chance to give more. I mean, you know, Tony Robbins, he says, you know, the first biggest need is consistency. And then the second biggest need is inconsistency. And as you go up the hierarchy, you've got a need to contribute. That's what happens. And it happens.
Right.
And it's amazing because it happened to me because once I retired, I didn't have a lot of meaning. Then I had this urge to contribute more. And it just happens. And before it happened, I didn't realize that I'd get that urge. It's funny how as you go up the ladder, it's just a natural progression. It's amazing.
And that's why as a general rule, people who are poor, as a general rule, don't contribute much. They don't start charities much. They don't generally do that type of stuff because of Maslow's hierarchy. They're trying to figure out how to live.
That's right. They're not high enough in the hierarchy to really have that value and goal. But two, they don't have the capacity when it comes to time and money.
Yes. And one tiny thing can like blow their whole life out. Like one, you know, I remember when I was broke, man, and I had like a shitty car and stuff like that. Like if there was a $400 problem with my car, like my life was ruined.
Look, I've been there. When I was a real estate agent back when I was in my early 20s, you know, my car would break down on the way to an appointment and I'd be going, oh my God, I got to pay a cab and the cab's got to cost me a fortune. And it was just really, little things were such a big challenge where now, look, the funny thing is, and this is what people don't realize, it doesn't matter how successful you become. You're always going to have challenges and problems. They never disappear at all. It's just impossible. Even if you're Elon Musk or Donald Trump or the most richest person in the world, you're going to have problems. And the thing is, though, your problems get better each time, each level. Because the problems I have now are very different and much more fun than the problems that I used to have.
Right.
Right. And it's great. I mean, you know, my recent challenge, I had to fly to Sydney to have an interview with Channel 9 and, you know, I had to get up at 5:30 in the morning. Well, that's better than getting up at 5:30 in the morning to go to work in a factory. You know, it's a great problem to have.
That's the contrast. Exactly. That's
exactly.
Because you still don't want to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I don't fucking want to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm even more of a diva now, but wanting to get up at 5:30 in the morning because I don't have to.
Yes,
but then you contrast. You say it could be worse. I could be doing X. So.
Yeah, and I use contrast a lot because I actually, no matter what challenge you've got, it's a blessing in disguise anyway. Because you've got a choice. You can learn from the challenge you've got at the time, you know, and get better at things. So I think every challenge we've got, because I really think life is about only one thing really. The meaning of life is about slowly getting more interesting and fun problems to solve. That's what we're here for. We solve problems. That's what we do. We're omnivores. We've been conditioned. We've evolved to solve problems. That's where we get our pleasure from. So when you solve a problem, it's actually quite pleasurable. But the problem you've got, you want a problem that's slightly out of your comfort zone. And then you just keep reaching more. And in life, as you solve problems, you get more enjoyment out of it. Because if you're not solving problems, it's boring. I remember when I retired, there was no problems at all, and it was boring. And now I get to solve problems, and it's fun again. How do we find out more about you?
Ooh, okay. The best way to find out more about me is to go search on Facebook for Mitch Miller or Father Freedom and find my personal profile. That's where most of everything I do happens. I am starting a YouTube show soon called Privileged and Morally Bankrupt. It's going to be a fun show. You watch out for that. I mean,
are you going to white privilege or just privileged?
Well, that can be a part of it. And the whole point of the play on words is that we're all privileged or non-privileged in our own ways. And so it's basically me attacking the left ideas and stuff like that. It's not going to be an overly political show. Will mostly be about entrepreneurship and finding freedom and just basically all the wacky thinking that's going on in our world.
Look, I believe that everyone in this whole world right now is privileged compared to anyone 100 years ago.
You got it. Contrast.
I mean, an African in Africa now has got more communication capabilities than the President of the United States 50 years ago.
You got it.
Think about it. We're all privileged, which is great. Okay, thank you very much. I really enjoyed the conversation. We'll have to have another talk about you coming to Australia. Enjoy your day. Talk soon.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mitch. Bye.
Thank you for listening. I'm grateful for all our listeners around the world. If you found this podcast valuable, please share with someone that might find this useful, and please join our tribe of purpose-driven investors, increasing income and impact in our Facebook group, Positive Property. Please note, with a multi-million-dollar property portfolio and a passive income, I've become incredibly successful in investing in property. The fact of it is, however, many people may find investing in property challenging. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work. However, becoming educated to make an informed decision and having the right advisors gives you the tools you need to succeed. The most important part of this formula, however, is to actually take action and apply that knowledge. It is important to understand that information I share is of a general nature only and is not taking into account your unique circumstances. If you're considering investing in any asset class, you need to seek the advice of an independent professional advisor who will be able to look at your specific situation. Be sure your advisor has actually achieved the kind of results you're seeking. Many won't have, so beware. We've taken great care putting those educational resources together. We'd be surprised if you didn't find any errors or omissions. If you do, our legal team says we have to say we're not responsible for those. In fact, as with all things, even your success, we're not responsible. That responsibility always has and always will come down to you and the actions you take. We're passionate about supporting you in that process and helping you increase your ability to create wealth, live the life you desire, and provide all the things you dream of for you and your family.